Hello, I'm back. I found a deeper pot. So I really think this is gonna help this depth. So I really want to get these nubbins into the growing media. Oh yeah, that's gonna be so much easier for me. And I don't have a ton of African violet mix, so I am definitely going to be using some moss. So I grabbed some of that. And I am going to start with putting moss on the bottom. And this will help, when I do water, kind of capture the water. Some of it, I mean, any overflow or excess is going to still flow out, but the moss will retain the moisture and keep a good humidity floating up. So I did like a pretty good, I don't know if you can see that very well. Sorry, my lighting isn't the best. Let me try to turn on a side light in the room there, but there we go. Maybe a little bit. You can see it's about an inch and a half. Let's see, about an inch and a half I put in there of the moss. And then I am going to, I got some of my African violet mix in here from time I was working on some pups that grew off of my African violet plants. So I'm just going to use this bowl to mix up the mix and the bark. Let's see. That. Sprinkle in my extra perlite and some bark. Mixing all that up in here, make it a lot more airy. And then, let's see, I think what I'll do is I'll drape some of the sphagnum moss tendrils up along the side as I'm potting, but I'm hoping the soil will fill in and the little bark chips will fill up into there. Do this. Start getting this guy in here. Just kind of twisting as I go down. Just kind of forms the roots into the pot. Settles them in there. Boy, that moss is nice and fluffy down there. It's really pushed the orchid up. But I think I'm going to be okay here. I still think this is going to be good. So I'm going to, okay, that's not going to sprinkle in very good for me. I need like a cup. I'm going to grab a little measuring cup. Guess I'm not as prepared as I was hoping I would be. Just putting some all around, shaking the orchid so the stuff falls down. I won't shake, once I get a bit more in here, I won't shake the orchid so much. I'll just do my pot taps, get more and more settled down into the base. And this is where I'm going to put in my, so I'm about halfway up the pot with the soil and the bark. And I'm going to put about 4 slow release fertilizer pellets because I want it in the midst of the root ball. So when it starts releasing, it's releasing all throughout there. So I'm going to take a little bit of this moss, super long tendrils, and just do a little tucking down into the root ball of the moss as well. It's what it's used to. That was a lot of moss that was in there, so I don't really want to take that away from it. The soil's going to wick up, and the moss will also continue to wick from that base layer of moss I put down in there. So I think, you know, graduating this to a more soil base, still keeping some of the moss that it was used to, hopefully won't shock it as much, and it'll settle in nice and happy and feeling like it's got a bit more room to grow. So for the winter, here in Southern Cal, our winters get down just above freezing lately. I've had to bring all my orchids in because I was too afraid that it would get, you know, reach freezing. Oops, I don't want to do that. So for about a week, it was always the threat of 30s, you know, 34, 32 prediction, you know, 33. Anything under 37 for me is too close for comfort. So I'm just bringing my orchids in, and I find a spot. I mean, I have a lot outside. I have a lot inside, and I have a lot outside. But I find a spot. I put extra hooks, or those S hooks that you could get in the garden center, those like big long black ones. And for the plants I already have hanging, I use those S hooks and I hang them off the side of the pots of my existing plants that just stay inside all the time. And I hang a lot of my orchids that I need to bring in because of the temperature, using those S hooks off of the side of the pot. So it's like hooking onto here, and the S hook comes down below, and then I can, you know, if I have extra hangers, I had to buy a few extra, and then that plant can hang below. So it's amazing how much space you can really figure out when you need to. And of course I have some grow lights. So I'm going to put this layer of moss on the top as well. Again, I'm reaching the nubbins that I really, really, really want to go down into the media. I don't know why they have not grown very well since I got it. Maybe I kept it too dry outside. We definitely had some hot times this summer. I installed a misting system out on my patio, which I think really helped. I only used it minimally. Only on the hottest of days it was going to be over like 95 on my patio. I need a little bit more soil and bark mix to top it off, because I want that to be my top layer. So I'm going to mix some more up. So yeah, I have, you know, like humidity gauges with temperature gauges out on my patio. And just watching that, I tend to come home at lunch times for my work. And if I see the temperature is just going up, 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 and I'm already at 90 around noontime, then I know I've got to turn on the misting system for the afternoon, because our afternoons here in Southern California are the hottest. So like 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock on. It's not high noon that's the hottest. It's those early afternoon time frames that really can be blistering. So I'm gonna do some tapping here. Really am hoping I got a lot of the soil into those crevices. I really think so, because the root system wasn't all super entangled. So I think we're in good shape here. All right, that's working out just perfect. Just what I want. I don't know. I might have to do a little more research. I don't know if I'm burying too deep. I mean, with those nubbins, it makes me think you want to be in the soil, like right there. So I'm gonna do a really good watering here, a little bit first before I finish it up. Mycorrhizal fungi. I'm not advertising or promoting any brand. This is just the kind I found online. It was reasonably priced. There's all different types of brands. I'm sure they're all great. This is, I give credit to Matthew, Hello Plant Lovers. I swear I have seen a difference in the orchids I have repotted using mycorrhizal fungi. The orchids I repotted without mycorrhizal fungi have struggled more with their root development. Always the goal is to repot an orchid when you have new roots coming in, because that lets the orchid, the new roots will adapt better to the repot and the new refresh substrate. But just getting down in, it takes so much energy, and this mycorrhizal fungi, which you don't put too much on, is supposed to help the roots uptake nutrients more effectively, which helps to promote the root growth. Because if it's uptaking nutrients better, this is me just layman terms, again, I'm not an expert, it just makes sense to me that if it's uptaking nutrients better, it can grow faster and stronger. And I swear that is what I've seen compared to the pots that I didn't use mycorrhizal fungi before I was watching the video that helped me discover it through Matthew. I had repotted some orchids, some Phalaenopsis, grocery store, no ID, and they have struggled with root growth, and just a lot slower, where all the other ones so much better. I of course have lost orchids, even with the mycorrhizal fungi, but I'm gonna say my loss rate is actually pretty good. So I feel like I'm on the, you know, like it's pretty low. Out of, I think I have about 225 different orchids now, various types. You know, like I have probably close to a dozen of oncidiums, maybe 25 dendrobium types, 30 cattleyas, some epidendrums outside, a stanhopea, 25 grocery store Phalaenopsis. I mean, out of about the 225 orchids that I have to do a new inventory. I'm behind on my inventory. I've only lost maybe 6. And I feel that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good percentage. And they kind of, all the ones I lost came weak. Like they weren't in a good spot already. So like they weren't feeling good when I got them. So I did my best, and just some of them, no matter what I did, didn't make it. But so I am going to water this beautiful Phaius orchid, and I hope this was helpful. I will try to do an update maybe in a few months or 6 months, and this is going to be my decorative pot that it's going to be in. And I think it's going to be real happy here. Thanks so much, and if you have any questions, please post anything. I'd be happy to discuss what I know, and again, I'm not an expert, but thanks for joining. Have a good day.